Well, good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be back in fellowship again here at the bridge and to see you all. Sorry about the rain, but the rain from heaven brings blessings, doesn't it? Yeah, actually, our grass is just brown. Well, the moss on our grass is even brown. So, yes, time to see some rain and refresh. Before we look at God's Word this morning, I want to spend a few minutes just giving you an update on our work with the ministry. Last year, as Friends of Israel Gospel Ministry United Kingdom, we gave some support grants to a number of non-profit organisations with offices here in the UK from our Israel Relief Fund. And on the slide there, we can see the organisations that we supported. Magen David Adom, United Hatzalah, that's another organisation that provides medical and emergency relief. Bet Halachem, which I know you've had here a couple of times, just down the road here. And I think you've had David here a couple of times. We've supported them and continue to. Meir Panim in this country is called Manna UK. It's an organisation that feeds the hungry. They provide literally hundreds of thousands of meals each year. Efrat, which is an organisation that helps to protect the unborn child by giving the mothers support to save them from abortions. There's about 35,000 abortions estimated every year in Israel. We gave a grant to the Jewish National Fund last year to help the refugees that have been evacuated from the northern border. And we also gave funds to Operation Life Shield. It's not on the slide, but I'll mention those a little later. In fact, I'll mention that is the main part of what I'm going to speak about today. We also sponsored an event by the National Jewish Association, I beg your pardon, last year. But it was in late March this year that Maggie and I travelled to Israel, and we were there for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks we visited all these organisations except for Efrat, and I'd like to talk about all of them, but time prevents me, so I'm just going to talk about those that we made to visit the 2 bomb shelters that we donated, or at least the organisation, the Ministry of Friends of Israel UK, had donated through Operation Life Shield. The first one I want to mention, I've mentioned this before, was a grant that we gave of $24,500 for a shelter located in a school called Or Simcha. It's a residential school for boys from broken homes, boys who've suffered abuse, boys who are orphans. And it's located in an Orthodox community close to Ben Gurion Airport called Kfar Chabad, and that was installed early last year. In addition to that, there was a grant that we made of $20,000 for a second shelter, and that was for a kindergarten in Safed. And Clayton, if you can just play the video, the reason that we agreed to put the shelter there is because of what you're about to see on screen.
אני אמא של בארי מגן אגמים בצפת. רק מראה לך השעה תכף 8 בבוקר ויש פה 4 ילדים בגן עקב המצב, ההורים לא רוצים לשלוח. המקום פה בכלל לא מוגן. אנחנו העיר בפוטנציאל הכי מטווח בגלל פיקוד צפון, ורק שלשום חווינו אזעקה. רק שתראי לאן נכנסים הילדים שלנו בזמן אזעקה. החדר שהם נכנסים, כולם חלונות. כולו חלונות. זה פשוט הזוי, אין להם איפה להסתתר. תראי את הגן, כולו חלונות. השגנו אישור מהעירייה לעשות תשתית, ואנחנו רק מחכים למיגונית, ואנחנו חייבים אותה כמה שיותר מהר, בשביל שהילדים שלנו יהיו במקום בטוח.
היי, שלום, קוראים לי תואר, יש לי 2 ילדים בגן אגמים בצפת, ואין להם ממ"ד. אנחנו גרים בצפת, כל כמה דקות יש צבע אדום, כל שנייה יכול ליפול טיל על הגן של הילדים שלי, ואין להם ממ"ד. אתם מבינים מה זה לב של אמא? לב של אמא שאם יקרה משהו, אין לנו שליטה על זה, אף אחד לא ייקח על זה אחריות. אני מבקשת, בבקשה מתחננת, מי שיכול לעזור לנו להביא ממ"ד, כבר עשינו תשתית, מי שיכול לעזור לנו בזה, אני יודע לו מאוד. תודה רבה.
PowerPoint. Maggie and I travelled up to Safed. It's about 7 miles from the Lebanese border as the crow flies. And when we arrived, have we got the slide there, Clayton? We have a little bit of, that's it, thank you. We were met by Clara, and Clara is the lady who'd organised the appeal on behalf of the kindergarten, and it was through her organisation, Sparks to Life, that the request came through Operation Life Shield and came down to us. So when we arrived, we met with Clara. You can see the shelter up in the top right now. It's painted. It's not a bare concrete cube like when it was delivered. And we were given a very warm welcome by the mayor of Safed. He's there on the left, Yossi Kechon, together with the kindergarten staff and the children. We were quite unprepared for what happened next because the children gave us a little concert. They sang some songs for us. The very first one that they sang, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to actually play any of the video, but the very first song that they sang, the words in Hebrew were Hinei matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Behold how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Psalm 133. I thought it was very apt, and Brian again prayed for unity. We've mentioned unity this morning here. So it was wonderful just to have the children sing those words for us, and they spent about 15 minutes singing songs for us. They were beautiful. And after they'd finished singing the songs, we were given a presentation. Each of us was given a picture of the children at the shelter, and we also were given each a booklet of paintings done by the children. Now, these are given paintings by little tots. We're not quite sure exactly what they had in mind when they painted them, but it was a real blessing to us. Very emotional time. It was hard not to burst into tears at times when we saw those children and realised just the importance of the shelter and other shelters like them around the country. As you saw in the video, the shelter was delivered as a bare concrete cube, but it's now been painted to make it more attractive to the children, less threatening. And on the right, you can see a larger picture of the one that they presented us with. They took a picture of the children, put it on the canvas, and put it there for us. But those pictures are not really to Maggie and I. Those pictures are for every single one person who answered our appeal for funds to purchase that shelter and other shelter. And we're looking also now to hopefully purchase a third shelter. So the next thing we did was we dedicated the shelter. We put on the donation plaque. Every shelter from Operation that's put in place that's donated by an organisation has a dedication plaque. That one says it was donated by the Friends of Israel United Kingdom, and it was in April 2024 when that donation was made. We also put a mezuzah on the doorpost. What you can't see is that inside of the shelter there's 27 little children, 3 staff, Maggie, and myself just about, and there's room there for the mayor as well. It's amazing how many people you can fit into quite a small space. But the story didn't end there. One of the major problems, if not the major problem, caused by continued rocket attacks and alarms is that many children, and it affects adults as well, suffer from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And there's a great need to provide counselling. And to provide counselling needs a calm and a welcoming environment, particularly for the children. At the time of our visit, the interior of the shelter still had bare concrete walls, bare concrete floor, no means of cooling, and just a single light bulb, naked light bulb hanging from the ceiling. And Clara expressed to us how she wanted to upgrade the interior of that shelter to make it a safe counselling space, make it less foreboding an environment that was suitable for use not just as a bomb shelter, but as a much-needed counselling room for the children. And before leaving the kindergarten, we made a commitment to Clara that the Friends of Israel Gospel Ministry United Kingdom would fund the upgrade. And we're pleased to say that shortly after we returned home, we sent the funds over to Israel, and that transformation has now been completed. And you can see a little bit of the interior there. It's difficult to get the whole thing in one, but they've provided air conditioning, they've provided tables and chairs and places to sit. They've made a little bit of decoration there. on the walls. So it's really a very warm place, and it's now a dual purpose. And of course, just recently, with the amount of alarms that were going off with the issues with Iran, that shelter would have been in use not just once a day, but many times a day. The children have got just less than 30 seconds to get to that shelter. It's quite a thing for them to do that. So we were very blessed to be able to be there and to provide that help. That was the first week. In the second week, we were joined by our Chief Executive Officer, Jim Showers, and he'd come across to Israel with a group of our staff from the USA and Canada, as well as some donors from the USA and Canada. And it was during this week that we visited a number of other organisations that we support through the International Friends of Israel Gospel Ministries Israel Relief Fund. Again, not enough time to go through this. If you'd like to hear more, then let us know, and we'd be happy to join and come to a small group or wherever to give you a really comprehensive report on what we did while we were in Israel. And just on top of that, if you're not getting our emails and our updates, then we'd love for you to sign up to our mailing list. And with Tony's permission, Maggie will be at the back of church this morning after the service with a sign-up sheet. So we can keep you up to date with things like that. Our latest newsletter, in fact, has had some information on this and in more detail than I've shared here. So really just a very quick update just to let you see what we're doing. I think that was the last slide. Yes. Thank you very much, Clayton, for that. And thank you as a fellowship here for the support that you give to the Friends of Israel Gospel Ministry, United Kingdom. It gives you an idea of what we do.